Okay, so to complete this crazy launch week, Mercedes have just shown us their brand new W13. So this is the car that will see them try to achieve a record-breaking 9th Constructors' Championship in a row, and it's certainly a very interesting technical package. So let's take a look at it, shall we? Okay, so here it is, the brand new Mercedes W13 for 2022. Now, taking a look at the livery right away, I need to say something. Even though I really love the black liveries that have been running for the last couple of years, I'm really glad to see the silver arrows again in the grid, because this car just looks stunning. Now, I'm really glad that they have just put one AMG logo instead of AMG logos all over the back, and that they have returned to have these stars on the back. I think this car looks really good from an aesthetic point of view, with all of the angles except from the back, where they have put this red massive rear wing with the Ineos logo, and I really don't like the way that this car looks from the back, but from every other angle this car is stunning. I've always loved this teal blue line that looks like the airflow on the car, combined with the black on the floor and with the silver on the car, and the touch of red from the Ineos here looks very good. Now, something that's very interesting is that Mercedes is actually using these wheel cake tints and the wheel covers in order to have more sponsors on it, and I really love the design that they have done with this. I think that the AMG logos are much better in here than on the engine cover, but I'm just amazed that Pirelli let them do this, because now it almost looks like the wheels are AMG and not Pirelli. But even still, I really love this livery. But now let's get to the technical details of the Mercedes W13, because there are a lot of them. This car is full of technical details, and I think that it's just up there with the Ferrari in its crazy interpretation of the rules. So let's take a look at it, shall we? Okay, so just like yesterday, I'm using this image from Correct Scarborough, and a lot of you asked where I got this image, so you can follow Scarpstack on Twitter, and he posts all of these images right away once the cars are launched, and they have been a great resource for me to learn while I'm doing this analysis. Okay, so taking a look at the brand new Mercedes W13, there are a lot of elements of interest in this car. So firstly, it's the front wing, which is very interesting. Then we have the cake tin, which is also a very different shape to what we saw on other cars. We have the floor that has a very interesting design in multiple occasions. Then we have the side pods, which also have a very different design to other teams. And finally, this rear wing. Now, taking a look at the front wing of the Mercedes W13, this is a very interesting concept. So this is a very low wing for 2022 standards, so obviously it's much higher than in 2021, but when you compare this to the Aston Martin, this is a very low front wing, and this is very interesting, the way in which they are trying to make the air flow through the front wing and into those Venturi tunnels. So Mercedes, unlike some other teams, have loaded the middle part of the rear of the front wing. So this is the only part of the front wing that's producing some serious downforce. So by doing this, they have generated two effects. So not only are they running up to legality here, which means that they are using the biggest size of front wing that they can in this section, but right up here in these points, they are almost uniting the front wing elements all together in here. And what this will allow them to do, since the front wing is very low, is to have a very clean airflow to the floor and to those Venturi tunnels right here. And I think that this is one of the best approaches that we have seen so far, together with the Ferrari, because this way the car can really put the air on those Venturi tunnels while still producing a lot of downforce here. And now taking a look at this most outboard part of the front wing. Now for 2022, it's mandated that all of the elements must combine into the end plate, but I think that Mercedes is trying to create with this geometry a little bit of hotwash in order to control the wheel wake, but Mercedes also have very interesting solutions to the wheel wake that we will explore right now. So taking a look at here the cake tin, you can see that they have the same winglets here as Ferrari have in order to direct air into this undercut that we will talk more about in a little bit. But something that's very interesting about the W13, and I think that you can see it also on the real car, so this is not only on the show car, are these cake tins. So the cake tins on top of the wheel are much longer than in any other team. So this is done to try to control the wheel wake, but this will generate a bit more drag than other teams' solutions. So you can see that all other teams seem to run the cake tin by about this point right here, but that Mercedes solution actually encompasses about 90% of the wheel. So this is the first time that we see teams try to mess with the cake tin in this way. So we have seen teams try to cut a few holes in the cake tin, but not like this. So this is the most interesting cake tin that we have, but it will also be very easy for other teams to incorporate this kind of cake tin into their designs if this is proved to be the best solution. So taking a look at the suspension of the Mercedes, they're running the traditional push rod at the front and pull rod at the rear, so they definitely haven't felt the need to change things up, just like McLaren did, who are running push rods at the rear and pull rods at the front. But taking a look at more interesting aspects of the W13, let's begin by taking a look at this side pod. Now these side pods don't have a massive undercut in here, just like the Aston Martin had, but it's still much bigger than the Ferraris. Now they're trying to generate most of their downwash into this top section of the floor and to the diffuser by making the side pod curve downwards right here, such as we saw with AlphaTauri, for example. So this is a very interesting solution, because you saw with the AlphaTauri that this downwash effect happened much later in the car and it was much more gradual, whereas Mercedes, just like the Williams, are trying to curve this right down to the bottom right away, and it's a very small side pod section. So you can see from here that the car has this line right here, and the only part that comes outside of that line and where the radiators are housed is this small part right here. So their side pod design is very compact. Now you can see from this side-on shot that Mercedes' goal is clearly to put the air in the floor to try and make this curve right here, and by having fast moving air in this section right here, they're trying to pull the air from the diffuser and make it work harder. So this is a very interesting concept that we have also seen from AlphaTauri. And when it comes to their cooling concept, unlike some other teams, they are not running those cooling louvers, and instead they are running a very interesting curve right here so that the air comes out of the back, just like we saw in the 2021 cars. Now, in my opinion, looking at this Mercedes and comparing it with all of the other cars, this looks to be one of the narrowest side pods and here on the back engine cover regions that we have seen in any of the 2022 cars. So this is a very good packaging from Mercedes. So you can see that unlike some other teams like Ferrari that have the side pod going right here to the edge of the floor in this portion of the car right here, Mercedes have actually been able to package their engine very well in order to have all of the cooling in this small section right here and then have the engine here on the back. Now this might be as a consequence of Mercedes usually having a longer wheelbase than most teams, so they can stretch out the car and the cooling elements even more than other teams that need to have it more compact near the front of the car. But even still, I think that this is one of the most interesting and aerodynamically efficient approaches that we have seen, because unlike having a big bulge right here, having this kind of stretched out look will minimize drag a lot for the Mercedes W13, so expect this car to be very quick on a straight line. And something that's very interesting, and you can see it on Craig Scarborough's picture, is that Mercedes retained that wavy floor from 2021. Now what this is trying to do here probably is trying to induce a little bit of vorticity in this region right here, which will help seal the floor. Now this is a very interesting design, and we haven't seen it from other teams yet, but also we haven't really seen the real floor from a lot of the teams. So just like Ferrari yesterday, they showed a very intricate side pod design, but their floor was just like a straight line. So I don't think that we have seen the real floor from a lot of teams, but I think that this is Mercedes' first spec of floor, and it's the first time that we get to see a real 2022 floor in its full glory. And you can also see another detail in the floor of the car, which is this double kick-up diffuser, as Craig Scarborough is calling it, because the diffuser comes up here and then comes up here again. So that's the double kick-up, and I think that that's a very interesting detail. And now coming up to the rear of the car, we have also got a very interesting detail with the rear wing, and you cannot see it very well in these pictures, but in this picture you can see it very clearly, and you have this kind of wavy rear wing. So usually rear wings have a shape like they go up, then they go down and up again, but Mercedes have actually explored the regulations a little bit further in order to have this double wave rear wing. So Craig Scarborough calls it a double dip rear wing, so I'm going to use that notation from now on, but it's a very interesting rear wing design, and what this will do is trying to increase the angle of attack of the rear wing without increasing the amount of drag that's on the wing. So this is a very interesting design, but then again, most of these concepts that we are seeing on the Mercedes, such as the front wing, the cake tins, the floor, and the rear wing, can be very easily implemented by other teams. So that's why teams are trying to hide this geometry, and they usually just show us the side pod design for more complex than it is, because usually changing your side pod geometry would require you changing every single aerodynamic surface on your car and to change your cooling package. So usually you're safe by showing your side pod, because other teams are probably not going to be able to copy your concept. I mean, Mercedes could probably have a few cooling louvers here if they felt necessary, but there's not much more that they can do, and they could definitely not copy the Ferrari approach, at least not in 2022. So the W13 is definitely a very interesting car, and it looks to have a very good packaging. So ranging from the roll hoop, which doesn't have a big airbox, to their side pods, which seem to be balanced in size, so they are not the biggest or the smallest that we have seen on the grid. They look very balanced. Just like Mercedes' cars in the last few years, the whole car and the whole package looks very balanced and looks very neatly packaged. So I'm very interested to see between the two massively different concepts of the Mercedes and the Ferrari with a more aggressive design and the Mercedes with a neat and tidy package, which one is going to perform better, and I really hope to see them in the same piece of tarmac once again in order to fight for wins, just like we saw over the last couple of years, because I'm really missing that in Formula 1, and I'm really a massive fan of both of these designs, and I think that they will work massively well for both of the teams. Once again, it's really amazing to me seeing the kind of diversity that teams are putting in the 2022 cars. So the cars look nothing alike, and it will be very interesting to see which approach is going to lead to the better results and to which approach the teams are going to converge come 2023 or 2024. So that's been it for my quick analysis of the Mercedes W13, and just on a quick note before I leave, yesterday with my Ferrari video I finally achieved my goal of 1000 subscribers, so I want to thank every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. It was honestly one of the happiest days that I've had, and I just stood there looking at the computer screen with a stupid face, seeing the number rise to 1000 and then beyond, and it was honestly one of the happiest moments I can recall. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me out reach this dream and start this journey on YouTube. It's really a big personal milestone for me, and I will really want to thank you. And if you guys have any comments that you really want to see answered by me, and they don't have to be about Formula 1, well, please leave them in the comments, because I'm planning on doing a 1000 subscriber Q&A. So once again, thank you for the 1000 subscribers. It really means a lot to me. And then again, you can leave any questions that you want to see me answering in that video in the comments down below. So that's been it for this video, and if you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Now we still have one more car launch to go, and it's the Alpine next week, so stay tuned for my review of the brand new A522. But until then, goodbye.